This is Next Century Studios.
Hello and welcome to Everyday Success. I'm your host, Ron Laker. This show is designed to inspire you to achieve whatever it is that you want in life. Today we have a very special guest. Joseph Warren, at age 19, started his own professional fundraising organization, employing 50 people, generating over $2 million in revenue. Joseph is a high-energy and very dynamic entrepreneur. He is the CEO of Brainstorm Weekly. He routinely shares, as a teacher and a student, his entrepreneurial experiences with budding entrepreneurs throughout the entire area. Please welcome Joseph Warren.
Ron, good to be here.
Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Joseph, a lot can be said about someone's upbringing and who they turn in to be as they grow older. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Okay. Let's see. I started out in a loving family. 6 kids, 3 boys, 3 girls, kind of like the Brady Bunch. Life was good up until about age 8.5, and when my parents, for their own reasons, decided to get divorced. At which point, life changed drastically, and everything I kind of knew as a kid to be normal was different all of a sudden. And I really didn't know where I was or who I was meant to grow into at that point. It was kind of confusion for me in my life then. So we had to choose which parent we wanted to live with and stand up in front of in court, in front of the judge with both our parents present, and pick which parent we want to spend the rest of our childhood with, which is kind of very intimidating for an 8.5-year-old boy. And my mother, I say, was always the better marketer, in that she offered candy and sweets and a whole lot of television. So it was a very easy decision for me, and I chose to live with my mother. However, being single was new to my mother, and she did the best she could with what she had. She went back to school, she went out and got a job as a secretary, and really did the best she could to make ends meet, raising 4 of us that she got custody of. At which point, you know, there was a little bit of many times where, you know, we were latchkey kids because she was working so hard to provide. And, you know, I would come home from school and just turn on the television, and there was certain things that I felt I kind of missed out on as a boy, like laundry. You know, I had to wash my own laundry as a kid, and now to this day, little quirks I have, like I love the smell of fabric softener and having my laundry done. You know, it's just like this little thing that's awesome for me. But that kind of slowly dovetailed into me just really wanting a better life, you know, and I guess what really closed it for me was when we would go to grocery shopping with my mother once a week. And when my mother she was on welfare at that point, trying to help sustain, you know, all the bills. And when she would pull out those food stamps, something inside of me just clicked. And I didn't like it. I felt ashamed, I felt embarrassed. And it was just very tough. And there was something inside of me that said, I don't want this kind of life. I want something better. And I guess, I made a decision back then at that early age that, you know, my life's going to look different. I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be healthy, and I'm going to make a lot of money. Not that money means everything to me, but I don't want to be in this situation ever again, and I don't want my kids going through this. It's just not fun. So that kind of inspired, you know, my life, and it wasn't until many years later that actually turned into something.
So, tough and interesting childhood. So when did your entrepreneurial adventure in life start? When you wanted more out of life? I did,
and I didn't know when it would present itself, but at age 19, it presented itself. And while the rest of my friends were calling me up saying, Joseph, let's go have fun, let's go party, let's go drink and do everything that young guys do, I was kind of like, no, I kind of want something more with my life. And I kind of pushed away from that, and I started looking and seeing what's out there. What kind of future am I headed into? And I answered an ad in the paper, which led me into a certain industry with nonprofits. At which point, I became friends with 2 gentlemen that were partners in a business, and they took me on as another partner. And they kind of saw me as young and naive, but with a whole lot of energy and drive and passion. And I guess they wanted to capitalize on that, if you will. And so they brought me in, they taught me the ropes, and within 6 months, I kind of launched into my own startup out in Chicago from Long Island. And that was scary and exciting all at the same time because, you know, I'm 19, I've never been out of Long Island. I've never done this industry before, and I took on my, one of my assistant managers at that time, and it was just he and I, and we said, it was Tuesday, and they're like, we want you in Chicago by Thursday. And we want the doors open to the new office on Monday. And it was just like, geez, really? Okay. You know, and that's where you say, okay, we can do it. And we went out there very naive, just kind of drove cross country, and we did exactly that. We opened doors Monday morning. And within 6 months, we had about 35 employees under us. So I was constantly hiring and interviewing. I got to the point at one time where I was doing 40 interviews a day, just because there was a large turnover rate with that industry. And that kind of led, within our first 12 months, my partner and I, we had 50 employees, and we were very blessed. We hit $2 million in revenue that year. And that was something for 19 years old. I was kind of like, you know, wow, that's cool. Then my partners back on Long Island, they kind of said, hey, we got someone here. He's a quick learner. Let's use him again. So they sent me out to Long Beach, California, and they said, all right, we want you to take, it was their worst office in the country at that time, we want you to take that and we want you to turn it. We want you to flip it. See what you can do with it. And I said, okay. So I went out there, and that was a whole different market altogether. Chicago people were kind of nice. They were accepting. We're out raising funds for children's charities. They were like, they had a heart. We got to California, whew, everything changed, Ron. You know, we get out there and people were just like, get out of here, just getting really nasty. And I was like, what's going on here? Turns out they had 6,000 charities or nonprofits in LA at the time. And all over the news was plastered, every 99.99% of all charities are scams. So they immediately, rule of thumb, don't help anyone, which kind of really was a disadvantage to all the wonderful organizations like that we had and the causes, and now they were getting kind of abandoned and neglected. So my point here was I quickly had to learn my market and adapt. You know, we turned that office around within 12 months, and we got that to the #2 office in the country, and we hit another $2 million in revenue and 50 employees. At which point they said, wow, okay, this is cool. Let's do it again in San Diego. And I did it a 3rd time in San Diego with my partner. And you know, from there, I kind of outgrew the business, I guess. I was maturing, and I said, no, I want something more, but I couldn't articulate what it was yet.
What was the most difficult thing you had to overcome in that startup?
You know, I guess the simple answer is this, setting the example for others. My assistant manager and now all our 50 new employees, I had to go out there and be the example. I couldn't just hide out in the office doing the interviews and all the managing stuff. I still had to be out in the field. So if I was expecting them to hit their goals, hit their quotas, then I had to walk the talk still. And I would go out there, and when someone would miss their goal and they would come back after a long day kind of beat up and frustrated because they got so many no's, so much rejection, I would have to be the motivator. But motivation's not enough. You have to back it up with some execution, right? So I would go out there even though I was exhausted from my day, and I didn't want to. I wanted to go home and relax, and I would say, you know what? You got 3 more to hit. I'm gonna take you out there. Let's go do it. And that was tough.
Okay. One of the keys to success, and I certainly understand that, Joe. That's great. What were some of your favorite memories of this journey that you went on? I mean, you're a young kid, moves from Long Island, you're in California now, and you're starting in Chicago, and it's got to be some great memories along with this. So why don't you share a couple of those with us?
Sure, sure. One of, I guess, my fondest memories is really just the people that I was working with. And when I saw them come in an interview, kind of shy and timid, some of them, and really hadn't done much with their lives, trying to explore and figure out who they are, kind of like what I went through. And they came into this industry they knew nothing about, but they believed in me. And they said, okay, I'll try it. And within sometimes as short as 2 weeks, Ron, I would see dramatic changes. This person would come back in, and it was like I didn't recognize them. They were confident. They started to believe in themselves. They started to see their own future and what they could do, the potential that they had never seen their whole life within them. that was one of my fondest memories.
Yeah, that's a great recognition also, you know, and it probably had to lead you to developing a corporate culture within that organization. You had a high turnover industry and you've got young people. So tell us a little bit about how you developed the culture within your organization.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned before, I was young and I had a lot of energy, so I used that to my advantage, I guess. We would do things like every morning we would have a morning meeting of sorts, but I guess it wasn't the corporate meetings that I've seen lately. It was more of a hoorah type of thing. We would have a song, we had a jingle for our company, and it was amazing to watch the faces of new hires coming in just like, what am I involved in here? But quickly over time, just through social proof and social acceptance, seeing other people joining in, other people happy, other people just really loving what they do, they said, wait a second, there might be something here. I think I'll hang around for a little. And they did. And in hanging around, they started to develop themselves. And so my point with the culture, I guess, is that culture is everything. And you know this with your company and the success that you've had in leadership and leading people to believe in themselves. And I think culture is really glued together by our personal core values as leaders, you and I.
You're always involved in new projects and always new activities, the true heart of the entrepreneur. And so why don't you share a couple of projects you've got working right now?
Sure. I guess my two main projects, I have an 80% one, my 80% project, and my 20% one. My 80% project is with my team, and we're putting the pieces together to open up a entrepreneurial cafe of sorts. That's kind of what we're calling it. And it's a new space, so it's a new term in a way. However, what we're doing is we've been meeting as a team. I have 5 people on our team, and we've been meeting at the local Starbucks and the Paneras and all these different clubs and everything like that. And we're coming in and we're doing our meetings, our strategic meetings, our marketing, our planning, so on and so forth. And it was good for a little while when we were first getting started, but then we quickly outgrew it. And we needed something bigger and better. However, with the project, it was brand new. It was pre-revenue. It still is. So we didn't have the revenue on the side of the budget to really go to an executive suites model or a big commercial space. So we're looking for something in between. And we said, okay, no problem. There's got to be something out there for people that are in this early pre-revenue stage of entrepreneurship. So we started looking around Tampa Bay, and amazingly enough, there was nothing. So we started to get nudged. We passed the idea around, what do you guys think, what do you think, to other people in our network, and they started to nudge us and say, why don't you guys do it? And we're like, us? No, that's not our main project. We're in the consultancy field. And we're like, no, that's maybe not us. And they said, what are you thinking? Do it. There's a huge demand. You're your own target market. You guys are the people to make this happen. So we dipped our toe in it. We're working at it. We have a few investors involved. We're looking for a few more, and we're looking to launch and open the doors this year.
I remember you shared that business model with me, and I thought it was a fascinating subject, and I think it'll be hugely successful, and I think you'll see co-creative throughout the country, which is Joseph's 80%, if you will. Yeah. Joseph, you're a young man. You're a bright guy, full of energy, always got something going on. When you walk into a room, what do you want people to see when you walk into the room? How do you show up?
That's a fair question. Hopefully, like I'm aspiring to do right now. I guess my whole life I've had a personality where I could easily cross the line and let my ego get out of control. And it has been many years of discipline to really bring that back down and to really keep it in place where it belongs. So I know throughout the years a lot of people have looked at me as this young guy. First off, I had youth against me in entrepreneurship. So when I was looking to seek funding dollars or sources of capital from people that were the next generation, I immediately had that major roadblock against me, my own age and naivety. And I really want people to see when I walk in the room, don't just look at me and the appearance, look at the value that I'm bringing with me. If that value is a fit for you in what you're looking to do, your mission and vision in life, then great, let's chat and explore and see if there's a fit between us. So that's really what I want at the end of the day.
Well, that's great. I think guys like Mark Zuckerberg have helped all of the young entrepreneurs break the model on the age barrier for credibility, and that's
Definitely.
a wonderful thing. So, and I love the fact when you had mentioned that you had the company song long before Toyota and the Walmart song. So I thought that was a very creative idea that you had too. So, Joseph, I want to thank you for being with us today. Very compelling story, and we wish you the best. Okay?
Appreciate it.
Very great. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Everyday Success, hoping your days will be more successful.